and more. Find us at 1 College Road, Parish Town, St. Catherine. Contact us at 1-876-907-5391. Let our team expertise be your guide.
Are you ready?
If you've got soul, then you must be at Soul Food Tuesday's 3rd anniversary. It happens at the Hyde Park Football Field on Mall Road, Tuesday, May 21, featuring Richie Stevens and his special guest, Bounty Killer. And then the hottest DJs in the city, Stolo, Shaki Boom, DJ Ray, Crazy Chris, Alonzo Hart, Little Richie, DJ Smurf and Bad Boy Cha-Cha. Soul music has never been this good.
Happy anniversary, my dear.
Prevention is better than cure, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness wants you to know your numbers. This Friday, link the IRI crew at Bargain Village Maypen. Come for all the free services, fitness and wellness checks, health screening, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol and dental checks, nutrition advice, food demonstrations, Daisy card sign up, plus enough entertainment prizes and surprises. We love the wellness vibes, so join the IRI crew live from noon to get with it. That's a live outside broadcast this Friday, May 17 from the Ministry of Health and Wellness's Know Your Numbers campaign, Bargain Village Maypen. Brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Take control of your life.
Anything, I don't make them tell you about no friendly thing. Got friendly me with anything. I don't make them tell you.
It is about that time. We are rearing and ready to go. It's all about Road to Success, the journey. And today on the Road to Success, we will journey with award-winning publicist, producer, and CEO of a reggae PR agency, Ralston Barrett. But of course, before we kick things off and on, this one was produced by Rallo. Yeah, Ralston Barrett, him the same one. Capleton, still sober. The sobriety test ready.
I don't make them tell you about no friendly thing. Cause friendly me will sell you out for anything. Cause enough of them I mix up in a many thing. So I gotta go and get what's mine. Can stop my flow, can stop my shine. Cause I don't know why they get bad mind. Life is so full of when there's a sign. I'm still sober. When all is said and done, I'm still sober.
With over 3 decades in Jamaican music industry, Ralston Barrett stands as a seasoned industry professional with a multifaceted career spanning public relations, artist management, and music production. His journey in public relations has seen him work alongside a diverse array of reggae and dancehall entertainers, including Luciano, Sanchez, Mr. Vegas, Spice, Protege, Richie Spice, Egyptian, Deli Ranks, Chronic Law, Reagan King, Nesbeth, Charlie Black, Mikey General, Richie Stevens, DeMarco, and Kip Rich. Ralston has also produced songs for several entertainers, including Capleton, Tony Rebel, Queen Ifrica, Richie Spice, Mr. Vegas, George Nooks, Lukey D, Sugar, Minot, Anthony B, Kip Rich, Cecile, Spanabana, Lady G, Mr. Lex, and Deli Ranks. And today we're absolutely honored that he could take time out of his busy schedule to take us on his journey to Journey with Ralston Barrett. Ralston, good afternoon and welcome to Road to Success and IRI FM.
Thank you, Kashima. Good afternoon to you and all your listeners out there. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And I really had to go through all the entertainers that you had to work with because sometimes, you have to just set it and state it so people know, say, look, he might do them thing, Yeah, man. Now, let's
not the complete list.
It's still condensed. But let's kick things off, Rallo, with your foundation. What was it like growing up in West End, Negril?
It was good, very good. I had a good childhood. Although I didn't grow up with my parents, I believe it's a dream of every child to grow up with mom and dad. I didn't have that experience, but I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather, and it was as I said, it was a good experience. I grew up with my aunts and uncles. Well, sorry, my aunt and uncles, and then my cousins who came after because I'm the oldest grandchild for my grandparents. So I had a very good upbringing. Um, you know, West End is like is a tourist resort area, so you get a lot of exposure to people from various countries. My grandmother had a restaurant. First, it was a little shop, then it evolved into a restaurant. So I would work in that shop. When I was very small, I would be standing like on two soft drinks crates. Kashima, you're too young. You probably don't know about those things. But I would stand on the drinks crates and serve over the counter and make change and stuff. So I was probably doing that from I was like probably five.
Oh,
As I grew
wow.
up, kept working. Yeah, I grew up working in a family business, so to speak, and I worked in the restaurant when it was a restaurant. So that's how that gave me a lot of exposure, meeting people from the States, Canada, England, people from Europe, Africa, people from all over the world. So, um, I learned a lot through that experience. And also, my love for music developed inside my family home because my uncles, they would always be playing records and cassettes and stuff like that. When my grandma wasn't there, because when my grandma is home, she plays gospel, but my uncles will be playing reggae and yeah, a little bit of dancehall, but mostly
Okay.
reggae music.
So you kind
So
of
that's
gave
when my
us
love developed.
a brief synopsis, into even how you got introduced to music. But before we get into that aspect of it, Ralston, tell us a little bit about what you admired most about your guardians.
My grandmother was the sweetest soul on earth. Very loving, very kind, very caring. She always had a word of wisdom to share with you. Everything that she did, it was a lesson. I realize that now. And she taught me everything. She taught me how to cook, how to learn how to clean the house, how to iron and stuff like that. And she said something to me that I cannot say on here when I asked her, because I said to her, why do I have to learn these things? I'm a boy. But she said, when you grow up, I don't want it to be so and so. So I said, what does that mean? She says, I don't want you to be dependent on anyone to do these things for yourself because people will take advantage of you once you show any sign of dependence as a sign of weakness. So she also taught me to be strong and independent. Um, she would be, she just loved everyone. You know, she was a giving person, always looking out for others. So whenever I think about my grandmother, I think about um, her acts of kindness, not just to us in the house, but to
To
people
others.
would just stop by. Yes, people just stop by to look at a job. And she didn't have one for them, but she could give them some little thing to help them out. My granddad, no, he was very stern. My grandmother was stern too, but my grandfather was like a very serious man. You had to know what you were going to say to him. It's like you have to rehearse what you're going to say before you approach him. So what I got from him though was he was very independent and he was no nonsense, a very no nonsense type of guy. And yeah, he was always neat. And he worked at the lighthouse for many years. He was a superintendent. So when I saw him, on the occasions that he would come up from the lighthouse, he was always neatly dressed in a khaki suit, and his shoes was well polished, and he always had a felt hat on, and looked very businesslike. Eventually, before or by the time I was in high school, he moved now back to our home, not in the same house, our next house next door, because he had two houses. So Kashima, that's when my life started to get a little bit tricky. This man was a farmer originally. So his idea now that he's at the house, at the home, he's saying, you're going too soft. You have to learn to move goats and go to the bush and stuff like that. So for a whole year, there was a tug of war between us, because he wanted me to start doing all these things that I didn't want to do. He said that my grandmother was raising me too soft. I lived in, luxury, and it was always complaining. So he had another task for me to do. Sometimes I tried to hide him. Sometimes my grandmother would say, no, go to him and listen to him, do what he asks. And, I learned a lot from both of them. My grandparents, by the way, Harold Barrett and Muriel Barrett, I'll never forget them.
Wow. No, Rollo, explaining to us that you were a part of the family business as early as at the age of 5. Was there any great emphasis on education during that point, and how were you able to kind of balance those two things?
Well, I had to go to school. I started going to school from I was probably like 2+. You see, the thing is, I would come back from school, and then my grandmother, running that little business, she would have me out there with her, and I had to do my homework. I had to do everything that I had to do as it relates to school. So school, come home, homework. On Sundays, I had to go to church. And she was very strict about school and church. Yeah. So I grew up first I went to like a basic school in Negril, and then I went to one in Sheffield. And then I went to a prep school in Sav. I think it was a Roman Catholic school. And then I went to the Sav Prep, that's an Adventist school. And then from there, I went to Unity Primary, where I passed my common entrance exams to go to Manning's High School in 1988. So, yeah, my grandmother was very serious about school, no joke. I would get a flogging every now and then when I mess up, if I didn't do what was right, if I was complaining about my behavior. I remember coming home from school, I had a grand time in South, because after school, I go all over the place with my friends, come home looking disheveled. And my grandmother would look at me and say, you went to school or you went to climb light posts? You work with the public works or JPS? Where you coming from? And you know what that mean now, the Kashima? She have a big broad belt, so you know what's going to happen now. You can get a couple slaps out of the belt. So I had to stay in line. Yeah. She kept me in line.
So from Manning's High School to Rossi's High School to the National Institute of Commerce, looking back at your classroom years, how would you describe Ralston Barrett in the classroom?
In the beginning of high school, I started out, I tell you, it was a rough first day. I got into a fight.
On your first day of school?
The first day of school, I got into a fight with a guy called Malachi Smith. I think Malachi Smith, yes. I don't know where he is right now in the world, but I'll never forget him. We had a fight that day, and then we would eventually become friends in high school. But for the most part, the first year was pretty good. But I got picked on a lot because of my size. And at that time, I looked like a nerd because, I was just like an ordinary looking kid in high school. And now high school isn't like primary school or prep school now. Everybody have them look a clique, and your pants have to look a certain way, and you cut your hair a certain way. Remember, I'm the kid who goes to school and goes home, work in a shop, and goes to school. Go to church and Sunday school and church, all of that thing, that kind of vibe. So pretty soon I'm being picked on. I started getting into fights, and I must say, at that point in time in my life, I was very angry. because um, feeling abandoned by my parents for them not being there for me as much as I would want them to be. Because at a certain point, I didn't even know whether my mom was dead or alive for a few years because I hadn't seen her. I had no way of connecting with her. My dad he also worked at a lighthouse. So he got transferred from the Negro Lighthouse to the lighthouse in Portland. And he was up there for a while. I think he went when I was probably just getting ready to take the common entrance. He was up there for a few years. So all of these things, sort of like, they were, brought a certain level of tension in my life. And I said I was getting into fights. I was a fairly bright student, but then my grades weren't all that good because I wasn't concentrating enough and getting into fights. And it was not a very good time for me. Yeah, at Manning's High School for various reasons. I'm not blaming the school or anything like that. Mind you, I had some marvelous teachers like Mrs. Monroe who taught me literature and English. And there were some others. I can't remember them now. A lady by the name of
So
Mrs.
was it
Thompson, who
because
was a math
of
teacher.
the was it because of like the bullying and the difficulty that you were having at Manning's that you ended up getting a transfer to Rosse's High School? How did you end up there?
Well, I went to Rossi's because the truth be told, I don't know what it was about the Rossi's badge. When I was in primary school and you walk into Nigger Square to go across the roundabout, you have to go across to go to South. The kids who went to Rossi's went straight up across to the bridge, like when you go in the Norman Boulevard. And I would look at them, and for some reason, I felt like I should be going in that direction. I don't know why. So I never really wanted to go to Manning's, No disrespect to Manning's. I mean, Manning's is a prestigious high school. But when I went to Manning's, I found it very hard to fit in at Manning's. So I asked for a transfer.
Okay.
The first time I requested one, I was told no. I was told that I need to just straighten up, behave myself, and pay attention to my schoolwork. Howard Jackson was the principal at the time. He's now deceased. And he said I had too much energy. He wanted me to be a part of the track team. So I said, me, the track? I'm saying, yes, it's track and field. You're going to do shot put and throw, what do you call it? Discuss and javelin and all them things. So he told my grandmother that, I had to become a part of that whole setup and do track and field. I went to practice like 2 times and then I disappeared. Never wanted to be a part of that. I continued having problems. And then, the last time I got into a fight, I asked, my grandmother, I asked her to request a transfer. And they gave me a transfer. Yeah. And I went to Rossi's. It was much easier fitting in at Rossi's. Different kind of environment. But at Rossi's, I met a teacher who told me the first week, he says, I don't know why Mannings keep sending their refuse here. And we don't want you here.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to make sure that you leave the school. Yeah, he said, I'm going to make sure you leave the school. Yeah, I'll never forget him. And he was always on my case, nonstop. And, one day something transpired in one of his classes and I snapped. And I was going to hit someone because this boy was provoking me. But instead of hitting him, I thumped the wall. And, I gave this teacher, this is my, I was being weak in that moment because I gave this teacher the ammunition that he needed to get me out of the school. So, on realizing that, I never even wasted any time. I just walked. I walked. Yeah.
So
And before that,
at that
I
point,
got into.
when you said you
Yeah, I just walked out.
you-
I just took my.
How
Yeah, I
did
just took my
how
bag. I just took out my bag and I just walked.
and that was it. You never returned.
No, but I ended up in reform school because I was home. I was playing music, loud music in the community. They said I was disturbing the peace. I was doing this. I was doing that. All manner of evil. People are so wicked sometimes. I was just at home one morning and the police came and said they have to talk to me. They're taking me downtown. Um, Took me downtown to the station. They had me sitting on a bench for hours. At the very same time, a murder had taken place in the community, and a lot of police officers from wherever were there, and they're doing what they're doing and whatever. A police man in a khaki suit. I'm not sure if he was an inspector or a superintendent saw me, and he said, "Squaddy, why are you looking so serious?" I said, "I'm not a police officer, sir." He said, "Well, I thought you were. Maybe you should join the force." But after sitting down there for hours, I was told that I am in need of care and protection, and therefore I am going to be taken to um, this facility in a place called Leety, which is commonly known as COPS because I'm now a ward of the state. And they took me there. Only God knows how my family found out what was happening. But eventually they found out, and one of my uncles came to visit me several times while I was there. I don't remember the duration of time. It might have been a few months. I don't remember if it was 6 months or 3 months, but I was there, and they got an attorney. And when the matter was brought up in the family court and whatever, um, they decided to, instead of letting me stay in the facility, they would give me probation, like 15 months probation. So I had to go back to school. So that's how I ended up going to the National Institute of Commerce. Because when I left Russies, I think I was in just about to complete 10th grade. So I went to the National Institute of Commerce. Everything was going fine. More problems again. And I just got fed up. I said, school is not for me. I'm not going back to school. I just never went back.
So take us now
But by
to
then, Kashima, I was.
go ahead,
Yes,
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're saying by then.
Oh,
Yes, go ahead.
yeah. By then, I was. Yeah. By then, I had I was saving money because I earned tips working in my grandmother's restaurant and stuff like that. I had also set up a little stall, on the weekends or in the evenings. I would sell craft items and stuff. So I was making money. So I bought sound system equipment and stuff. I was buying records. So by then, I had a fledgling sound system called Rallo Vibes. Yeah. So at that point in time, I said to myself, I don't want to get into any more trouble. I don't want to have any problems. What am I going to do? I think I liked foods, having grown up in the restaurant business. But I know I couldn't cut it as a chef. So I said to myself, it has to be something in music. But I was playing the sound brought more trouble. The police come and seize my equipment and they charged me for disturbing the peace, all the kind of stuff like that. Funny enough, one of the same police officers who seized my equipment on more than one occasion, he went on to become um, a DJ. Yeah, working at a radio station up until recently when he passed away. I couldn't believe it. Every time I would be driving and listening to the radio and hear that man, I could always go back to that moment in time and those occasions when he came and he took my amplifiers or whatever, or my
Your
what do you call them again?
equipment.
Whatever piece. Yeah, stuff like that. And I just said, how did this man end up becoming a DJ?
But
And he was so adamant about.
You know what I want to ask you though, Rallo, because listening to your story and so far, like you have had a lot of hurdles. You know, you've had like a lot of challenges, a lot of things, stumbling blocks in your way. What was that gleam of hope for you that kept you going regardless of the struggles and all of the negative things that were affecting you then, and you know, not being able to have like a cushion, you know, somebody to relay all of what you were experiencing? What was that like? What was the gleam of hope that kept Ralston Barrett going regardless of the challenges?
I'm a very determined individual, and sometimes all you need is one person to believe in you in life. And my grandmother was that one person for me, and she would just tell me, "Listen, as long as you're not a criminal, you're not doing anything immoral, you're not breaking the law, I am here for you 100%." My grandmother saw me building a sound system, so that I was struggling to get everything together. She gave me some money, and she said, "What do you need?" And I told her, and she gave me some money to help to build a sound system. When I started getting into trouble with the sound system, luckily by then, a DJ by the name of Mr. Peck from my community was also a relative. We didn't know we were relatives until later on. He would DJ on my sound, and you know, we build a band, so to speak. We create a link. So one day he came to me and said somebody wants to book him for an event, and he told him that I'm his manager. I didn't know what a manager was supposed to be, or what you're supposed to do, but he told me that, you know, he said that I'm the manager, so I have to talk to them. So I just put on my
Manager
best
voice.
serious look when I was speaking to the person. Yeah, man, and yeah, tell them, so listen, you know, the artist is available, and it's X amount for him to perform, and we want to know, you know, how long you want him to perform, and you know, I asked him a bunch of questions. I didn't know anything about these things, but I was just making it up as I went along. And from there, next thing I know, Mr. Peck and I were in the music business, so to speak. We started going to studios in Montego Bay, Ocherias. I think one of the first places that we went was to Shy B in Catchinall to cut some dub plates. And when we wanted to do recordings, we found out that Shy B couldn't do recordings because it was just a dub studio. So somebody told us to go to Ocherias and go to Roof. Went to Roof and met Courtney Cole. He was very accommodating, and you know, he spoke to us and told us that his studio is a dub cutting studio, but we might want to get a tape and go to Kingston. He sent us to Rascarby. Rascarby had a business in Ochi at the time. I think it was like a souvenir place and record shop. And Rascarby, I think Rascarby was the one who sold us a tape, a 16 track. So we had a 16 track, didn't know what to do with it because we still didn't find a studio. But we ended up talking to someone one day who sent us to Ed Robinson, you know, the singer Ed Robinson. At that time, he was living in Farm Heights in Montego Bay. So we went up there, and that's where we started to record. We did the first two songs, and GT Taylor of IRFM was the first person to play those two songs. And from there, we just kept going and going. One day I was watching Profile one Sunday, and I saw Gussie Clark on Profile talking about his journey in the music industry. And, you know, he mentioned that he had a world-class studio facility. And, you know, I was like, wow, I need to go and see this studio. I had no real reason to be there. But I went to Kingston and, you know, I checked out the studio in a rather inauspicious way. I went and opened one of the studio doors, and I think Ricky General was voicing a song. That time he was hot with Skettelbaum and, you know, those songs. I just opened the studio door in Kashima and walk in, and everybody was like looking at me like, okay then, who are you? You know, I could just get the vibe without them saying it. I could feel it. And the engineer waited, and he waited until the artist stopped voicing and turned on the music and asked me. So yeah,
on that note, we're gonna take a quick break. We have Cashpot coming up.
Mm-hmm.
When me use Island Fresh with aloe vera, it make me skin feel so much smoother. So if you want to feel better and smell fresher, use Island Fresh with aloe vera.
Manufactured by Island Products, 934-0666.
The time is...
It is now 12:59. We are standing by. Listen up. Your top draw dollars. Pick 2, pick 3, pick 4. Hot pick and cash pot. Lunchtime draws up next.
And your first winning pick for a number is 2. Your second winning number, what's it gonna be? That's 1. Your third winning pick for a number is 7. And the fourth and final winning number is 1. Now, once again, your winning pick for numbers are 2, 1, 7, and 1. Now, this one, it's easy for win. Let's heat things up with hot pick. And this afternoon's winning hot pick number is a lucky number 1. Congratulations to all hot pick winners. Again, your winning number is 1. Now you can win $280 for every $10 winning cash pot bet. Now let's get ready to play a cash pot game for Thursday, May 16, 2024. Now we know you live to play it, but can you win it? Get ready to be a big cash pot winner, and let's see what the winning cash pot number will be. And this afternoon's winning cashpot number is lucky number 31. Congratulations to all cashpot winners. Again, your winning number is 31. And now, let's mega those winnings and good luck. Keep your tickets out. Here it comes. And the white ball has been selected. And now, it's time to monster your winnings, so good luck once more. What's it gonna be for monster? Will it be a white or will it be a monster this afternoon? And the monster ball has been selected. Now remember to go mega and monster 6 times per day for cashpot for more chances to win. Again, the winning cashpot number is 31. The lucky mark is a lizard. And for mega, the white ball was selected for pick 3, pick 4 cashpot and hot pick. And for monster, the monster ball was selected for cashpot. Now let's take a look at this afternoon's winning numbers, and of course, congratulations to everyone who won. And a huge congrats to our 2 lotto winners of $18.5 million each. The winning tickets were purchased at Standard Auto Supplies, located at 28 Windward Road, Kingston, and Gaynor and Barnary in 9 Miles Blue Bay, St. Andrew. So check your tickets now. And please join me again at 3 p.m. for more games you love to play. I'm Sharnika. Have a supreme afternoon.
Hope you were a big winner. Play your favorite Supreme Ventures games every day and tune in for our live draw 6 times a day at 8:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 8:25 p.m. on this station. Supreme Ventures, making winners every day.
That was the lunchtime top draw dollars, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, hot pick, and cashpot draws. Congratulations to all of today's winners. Join us again at 3 p.m. for another chance to win in hot pick and cashpot special pot draws. If you're just joining us, we are on the road to success and we're journeying with none other than Ralston Barrett. Now, Ralston, before we went to the cashpot break, you were talking with us about entering into the studio, I think Gussie Clark's studio in Kingston, opening the door, just barging into a recording session. And then what happened?
Well, as I said, the engineer said, what happened? So I just explained to him because, Kashima at that time, I think I was very young and naive, to a certain extent. You don't understand certain things. So I never know the code then, so to speak. So I just opened the door, barging, everybody looking at me like, wow. So I said to the engineer, I said, listen, I came to, I'm here to check out the studio. So he said to me, well, you have to go around the front and speak to, I think it was Patrick Masters, was in charge of managing the studios and stuff. So I went around there, spoke with him. He explained to me how I could book the studio time, told me the rates and stuff. And I think I didn't book a session there immediately. We ended up going to Castro Brown's new name studio to do some work. And that's where I met Lady Saw, by the way. At that time, Lady Saw was just exploding at the scene. So we went to Castro Brown studio to work with Derek Barnett on a project. So we were there like all day from early in the morning. We traveled from Westmoreland and we were just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But at the same time, we were excited because guess what? You're there and when you look, you see Beanie Man come by, you see Cabra come by. This was a time when the 11:45 rhythm was running the place. And I saw Red Rose and Malva pass through because they were doing a lot of production at the time. I saw Simpleton. You saw a tremendous amount of the artists who were hot at the time or just, exploding on the scene. Luciano, that was before Luciano had dreads. I saw so many artists out there. So we were just there sitting down, 2 country boys, me and Mr. Peck sitting down looking at all these artists, and time is going by and we don't see the studio up to now. Thanks to a virgin called Robbie Roberts, who saw us there and asked us what was happening, and we told him. I said, we're not going to get through today, and it's late. This was probably like 7 o'clock in the evening now. And we're saying, oh, you're going to reach back a country. We didn't know the ropes at the time. So Robbie put us up that night at his home in Portmore. Went back to the studio the next day. We were there just waiting and waiting, the same thing. So lady saw us and said, what happened? We not get through yet. So I said, no. So where I come from? I said, yeah, I'm Westmoreland. I said, I come from country. Okay. He said, oh, all right. I saw them at the uterus, and she went in there, Derek, and said, listen, free up the youth them because them they are all long and none of them sit down out there and from yesterday and we told her what happened, how we have to sleep at the Virgin Yard in his living room and all that kind of stuff. So she was really not pleased, and she took matters into her hands, to get the situation rectified. So we did a record there, and that was the third song, a song called I think it's called Columbus. Yeah.
So Rallo, in the interest of time now, we're going to have to kind of condense the information a bit so we can get a lot more out of your story. So we kind of get an idea as it relates to how you got introduced to the music, how you got started, being around the sound system and the recording and the management aspect of it. But what exactly actually attracted you to public relations? How did that start for you?
All right, very briefly. What happened was, by the time I had produced several singles with Mr. Peck, we wanted to push the music. We were getting help from, as I said before, GT Taylor was playing the stuff. And then we got introduced to a couple of other DJs at Irie because we began to come to Irie. Even met Mr. Young back in those early days. So we were getting some support, but we wanted more exposure. And a friend of mine told me about a publicist. I saw him on TV one morning, and I asked him, I said, how you got on TV? He said, a publicist. So he introduced me to his publicist, a gentleman by the name of Kerry. I can't remember his last name, but Kerry Russell. He died in the 90s. I couldn't afford him when I spoke to him, but he taught me some stuff. He said, listen, you can't afford to pay me, but I'm going to teach you the basics, how to write a press release, and you're going to send this to the newspapers, etc., etc. So that's how it all started, because I wanted to promote Mr. Peck and get him maximum exposure. Eventually, I ended up partnering with somebody from overseas who had a label called Irene Girl. So I was now producing Mr. Peck and other artists like Vengeance, who was then known as Daddy V, Hi-Fi in English, two other guys who we roped into the camp. We were all friends. All of us were friends. Some were connected, some were through friendship. So it was the Irony Grill crew. I was generating a lot of publicity for them, newspaper articles, interviews, stuff like that. Music is playing on Irie and other stations. So by then, people started to recognize my abilities. Unfortunately, we had a little situation where the owner for the label convinced the artist that it would be best for them not to work with me. So they went their separate ways. I went mine. At the time, I had just discovered Serial Kid from Montego Bay. She decided that she wasn't going with the rest of the camp. She's going to work with me. And we kept on working. This was somewhere around 97, 98. And by 99, Serial Kid had a hit song in the form of Let It Shatter. And I did a whole lot to promote her, just like I was doing with the other guys. But she boss. People recognize even more my abilities now. Mr. Vegas, manager at the time, Byron Murray, his soul rest in peace. He's no longer with us. He approached me and said, listen, come and work with us. I wasn't interested. Eventually, Serial Kid migrated. He kept calling me. I even went to this man's office in Kingston, found out that he wasn't there, and instead of waiting, I left. I remember him calling me on my cell phone. I said to him, I'm on my way to Negrid. He said, no, try and turn back. I said, no, I have to go home. So Murray kept calling me and convinced me to come and work with him. At the time, Mr. Vegas was the main artist for Industries Records, and then you had Kipbridge. Sorry, you had Hawkeye and Alizade. So I was doing PR for them as well. Also doing road management. I also ended up doing PR for Kipbridge and Chico and a couple other artists. So it just sort of like I didn't plan this. I didn't have an interest in being a publicist. It just kept happening. It's like it was a force that kept pushing me forward.
Okay, and that was the thing that kept opening doors for you. No.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I guess it's my ability to work with artists. I'm very good at working with artists. I'm very good at promoting them, pushing them. I'm very good at spotting talent. That was something that became obvious to me after a while. Looking back at even when I was a small boy, if I heard an artist on the radio for the first time, a new artist, I could tell whether or not this artist was going to hit, whether this artist would have a long career. And for that reason, I kept getting into little arguments with people about music as I grew up, became a teenager. And people always come back to me and say, remember when you did say Shabba, I go win the Grammy. See, him win the Grammy. And, stuff like that. So I've always had an eye for talent and
to identify.
thinking of ways
have you ever had to write or spin a story for the media? Because just to condense it at 1:15 and kind of rush into the journey a little more, you have done PR for the likes of Luciano Sanchez, Mr. Vega Spice, Protege, Richie Spice, Egyptian Chronicler, Ragging King, and others. Have you ever had a situation where you had to spin a story back against the wall and make it work for the media for one of your clients?
Let me tell you something. A common name for publicists is spin doctors. I don't like the term because it indicates that you are twisting the truth. Fortunately for me, I haven't had the reason. I was never placed in a situation often where I had to do anything like that. I see myself as somebody who puts people in the spotlight. I want to put the spotlight on you in a positive way. Yes, if necessary and we have to do spin, we can do it. We can do damage control because that's a part of PR. And I'm a highly skilled and highly experienced publicist. But not too much spin, no, not my style. There are other publicists in the industry who are known for that. That's not me. I bring talent to the forefront.
Okay, something else I also wanted to get from you as a publicist, from Spice, pretending to bleach her skin, to Alkaline's infamous tattooed eyes, we see where more entertainers are pulling PR stunts. What is your opinion on PR stunts?
Never liked them then, and I still don't like them now. PR stunts, of course, that's what I'm talking about. Let me say something to you. We've seen great artists, legendary artists, not just our own, I'm talking overseas. I won't call any names, but there was an artist who was like the master of PR stunts. And he had to live up to that reputation. And it came back to be the thing that brought him down, so to speak. You see, when you mess with the truth, it's a serious thing in a Kashima, because we have to understand that God is real, and the universe is real. You see, what you send out there in the universe, it will come back at you in ways that you would never imagine that it would come. So I don't like PR stunts. First of all, you are telling a lie. Yes, you're telling a lie to the public, and when you do that, you're just fooling people. Why you have to do that? Why all this stunt? Just make the music speak for you. Make good music. Make good music.
No, managing PR for a diverse range of artists must represent unique challenges, I can imagine. How do you tailor your approach to suit each artist's individual brand and image?
Okay, it does bring challenges. I try to learn about artists immediately when we start working. If it's a new artist who's just coming up, I take the same approach. If it's an established artist, I take the same approach. I reason with the artist, I ask them certain questions. Most people that I work with, when I write articles and stuff for them, they say it's like you're in my head. You can tell what I want to say because I send back the articles for them to approve it. And I study the artists. I go online and I look up whatever content is there. Most of the people I work with, the established ones, I was already a fan before I got the opportunity to work with them. Some of the big names that I've worked with, in West, who are big names, like Massacre. I worked with Massacre first when he was just an upcoming artist, and then last year I was called to work with him again when he signed to Def Jam. But meeting him for the first time, I saw the talent. I listened to his music and I said to them on the spot, because they couldn't even afford my fee back then. Not that it was that much, but young youths trying. And I said, I'm going to work with him because I see the talent, I see the potential. So I just try to listen to the music. I try to talk to the artists and get a vibe for what they want to put out there, and just try to build a connection with them. It makes it easier to work with them.
In the digital age, like social media has changed like a lot of things. Literally, we are sitting here watching the music industry just kind of evolve right in front of our eyes. What would you say to like an upcoming entertainer now who believes that having a publicist is kind of redundant because whatever information they want to get out there, they can just blast that through their social media platforms or spaces? What would you say to somebody who is of that belief?
They're saying social media is the way to go. They're saying they don't need publicists. They're saying that they don't need radio. They don't need television. They don't need newspapers. They are looking at people like us as relics of the past. But that's a great mistake to make. Because listen, social media has a role to play, and it plays a particular role. Social media cannot do what radio does. It cannot do what newspapers and magazines do. It cannot do what television does, right? A publicist is needed to work with you, and create a strategy to promote you using all those various elements that I just mentioned. So a publicist is there to guide the process of your promotion and your exposure, just like how you need a manager. Now, a lot of these youths nowadays, they're making good music. Some of them, they're doing well, but they could go a lot further if they had a team. You should have a publicist, of course, not because I'm a publicist, but I'm saying that it's necessary to have a publicist. So you have a producer, right, to produce the music, but you don't have a publicist, you don't have a manager. So how far can you go without a proper team of professionals to help you, to guide you, and to do all the necessary work to make you into a star and then possibly a superstar? You're not going to go far without these people in the team.
Have you
A publicist.
have you ever
Sorry.
turned down an entertainer because of their content and who they are? Are you strategic with who you do PR for?
Yes, I am very strategic. I love music that is entertaining and edifying. People might think I'm a hypocrite because I keep telling people that I listen to Massacre all the while, and people say Massacre sing about this and sing about that. Listen, I hear stuff from him that's edifying and entertaining, same with Chronicle and a lot of these other artists in this current generation of dancehall stars. But I don't condone certain things, so I won't work with certain people. And even if it's an upcoming artist and you're singing certain kind of songs, I won't work with you. And I've walked away from several projects, potential projects because of that. And I remember working with an artist years ago who was hot, and then he did a certain song about down in a throat and whatever. And I just told his team, I said, listen, you don't have to pay me for the next month because I'm not gonna stay on the project. They said, why? I said, listen, this new song is ripping up the dance hall or whatever, but it's not my thing because I can't play this in my house. I wouldn't play it around my kids. I have daughters.
Okay,
So I
definitely.
don't
I understand that. And as you mentioned your daughters, you are a girl dad. How do you create that balance? Because, you know, we know how it is. You're not doing PR for just one person. You're doing PR, you're also producing, and you're also involved in management. What is that balance like for you?
it's not very difficult. It takes a lot out of me to create a balance at times, but by now I'm used to it, so it's no longer as difficult as before. Let's say when Amelia was a baby and growing up to be a toddler, her mom and I were still living together, so it was relatively easy for me to juggle going to the studio and doing what I had to do at the time. But by the time Symphony arrived, within just months after, we broke up. And then for a time, I ended up having to raise Symphony by myself. That was a serious challenge. My life changed completely because now I have a little girl who is an infant turning into a toddler, and she needs my attention, she needs my time. So things shifted significantly. It was not easy because I remember going to the studio and in Kingston, like I went to Kingston 3 times that week, working with an artist who was here for the States. And one night when I came home, there was a baby. She was like 2 at the time, 2 plus. She met me at the door and she said, Daddy, Symphony want her father, Daddy. I need my daddy. And I took her up in Okashima and I walked to the bed. And I fell asleep with her in my hand because I was just keeping her in the room, till she fall asleep, or take her to her room because the nanny was here at the time doing living. And both of us just slept in that same position until daylight. And I said to myself, I need to find a way to cut down on the time I spend away from home and dedicate more time to my child. And that's what I did. So
I'm glad that you're
now
telling this story,
she's
Rollo, because we have ever so often, we hear the stories about single moms and the challenges and the difficulties that they have. But here you are, a single dad with your 2 daughters, kicking it, doing it.
My daughters live with their mom now. Symphony has been living with her mom since late last year. But for the first, roughly say 6 years or so, she was with me for a majority of the times. Sometimes I couldn't manage. Sometimes, I had to
What
seek
did you
help
do during those
from her
times?
grandmother.
Okay, seek help.
Kashima, you know what? I did a lot of praying and reading the Bible. Sometimes, I remember I posted a picture one night. I had her on my shoulder and I took a picture. And, a friend of mine saw it and said, why you post that? Everybody's saying that you're going to pieces, you're having a breakdown because you keep posting these pictures with you and your child. I said, really? Because people use that against me. That part of my life, people are telling people, hey, Rollo is not so good anymore and he's washed up because his wife has left him and he's raising his little daughter. But I tell you what, Kashima, I would not trade those years for anything in the world. I was there when she made her first step. When she said daddy the first time, I was there. Symphony and I have a bond that I don't know how to explain it. It's like she's a small version of me. And I'm happy that I was able to dedicate myself to her in those years. And I'm still dedicated to her. and her sister.
Yeah, and like, it makes a lot of sense because your latest venture is Symphony B Records, so that is basically for your daughter. Talk to us about the importance of creating generational wealth for your children and leaving them a legacy.
The Bible says a good man creates wealth for his children's children, and what I I have experienced in my life was my grandmother trying to do something for me to set me on a path where I could achieve success. Even when I I dropped out of school so many times, I was doing the music thing. She helped me. I remember her taking me to the bank once, and she withdrew a certain amount of money, and she said, "Listen, this is all I have to give you. Put it in the music if you want to do what you want to do." And so I want to do the same thing for my two girls. I created this label for Symphony. I have something else in the pipeline that I'm going to create for Amelia. So this label is like a labor of love. Of course, I have my PR agency, Reggae PR, and it's still a growing company. We're trying to grow the team. We want to offer more services to clients. The production part is, done under Reggae PR, and that is my little pet project because I love producing music, and it's very important, customer, to give your children what the Americans would say a leg up. A lot of people in Jamaica don't realize that, and then your children will have to struggle if you don't set that foundation for them, and especially girls. I don't want my girls growing up and having to depend on anyone for anything. I want them to depend on me. I want them to depend on what I have created for them. So this is why I created Symphony B Records. It's still in the fledgling stages, but great things to come.
Now, recently you were recognized at the Atlanta Caribbean Community Awards for your work in the entertainment sector. Congrats again. And what does this recognition mean to you?
It means a lot because after 33 years in the industry, and facing so many challenges over the years just to become a part of the industry and doing all this great work, and hardly anybody ever come back to you and say thanks. I've worked with some big names. I've worked with some of them before anybody knew them and helped to put them out there. I'm not gonna say I single-handedly did it myself. I was a part of a team. And I've seen some of them, I've seen one particular one doing interviews, and I've heard him say he had to do everything himself. He never even remembered that he had a publicist who was calling everybody in the industry, harassing them to put him on this show or to put him in the newspapers. I've also seen other artists say they work on their own. What I'm trying to say, this is an ungrateful industry. Trust me, people don't say thanks for purpose in music. So I was told that I was chosen for this award. I was so surprised and very grateful and humbled at the time. And I'm still feeling that way because on the night when I received the award, I was so overcome with emotions. I couldn't even deliver the speech that I had prepared, I couldn't believe it. I was in this venue, and a whole lot of people were there. And when my name was announced, just to hear the applause and the reaction, I was so amazed. I'm wondering if I would get the same reception at home. I hope that would be the case.
You said
one
something.
day.
You said something a while ago that I just want to follow up on, because here it is, you would have done the work, you've worked with so many of these entertainers, and then you mentioned, it's an ungrateful business. What actually keeps you going when the realization hits that you would have given your time, your energy, and your effort to an individual only to be left out of their speeches or nothing to show gratitude in the public space? How do you handle that, and what actually keeps you going regardless of the lack of recognition from some of the entertainers that you've worked with?
It's my love for music and my love for talent, and I love people. I will not let anybody force me to become someone that I don't want to be. I don't want to be a mean person or a mean-spirited person or a broken old man. If I should live to get old, I want to be happy because when I get older, when I'm lying on my deathbed, I want to be in a position to say that I've done all the things that I wanted to do in life. Um, I was drawn to music from an early age. Didn't know anything about the music business, but I had a great love for music. I tried to play instruments growing up. I learned how to read music and stuff like that. I've done so many things. Almost everything that I've done has something to do with music. I worked on radio. I worked as a freelance journalist. It always comes back to music. Music has given me so much. The music itself. So, despite the fact that people are unwilling to give you credit where credit is due, I'm still gonna do this as long as I'm enjoying being a publicist, doing the work, helping to expose talent, putting people in the spotlight. I'm gonna do this. This is what I love.
And
I'm passionate about the music industry.
lastly, Ralston, like the time just chipped away so quickly. As someone deeply rooted in the Jamaican music scene, what advice would you give to aspiring artists and publicists looking to make a name for themselves in the industry?
For aspiring artists, learn about the business. Learn as much as you can. Call people who are established and ask for advice. I did this when I just started out. The publicists can do the same. Aspiring artists make good music. Aspiring publicists learn about what it really means to be a good publicist. Learn to write. You have to write well. That's what I believe. You have to be a good writer to be a publicist. Many of the people doing PR today cannot write. They have to farm it out to somebody else. I write. All the great publicists that I know in the industry, they write as well. So we are good writers. Some of them are very good writers. Um, just learn about the industry, learn about the craft. Yeah. And just do your best and keep going forward despite the obstacles and the challenges.
Wow, Ralston Barrett, thank you so much. I know we didn't get to dive into a lot of your journey because your early years literally took a little more than half an hour to get into, and we really had to deal with the chunk of it. So it is shaping up to a lot like we have a part 2 where we can delve further into it. But nonetheless, thank you so much for coming on and being so authentic and, sharing your journey without reservations. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Kashima. Big up yourself. Big up the entire Jamaica. Big up all my peeps down there in Westmoreland. And right here in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth. And also my very, very efficient and trusted assistant at Reggae PR, Nikita. She helps me to get a lot of things done each day. Couldn't do it without her. And everybody who was giving me an opportunity in music and everybody who's worked with me. Yeah, big ups. And thanks again, Kashima. Big up you and all Ira Crew.
Thank you too. The big ups are coming through. Deli Rank says, big up to Rallo. Absolutely love it. And we know that Deli is somebody that you have worked with too in the past. Empress Tanya says, loads of love to you. Very inspired interview. My word, bless up yourself. Talk about overcoming obstacles. This one says, Queen Kishima, powerful and uplifting interview. We may be related. My mom was from Mount Pleasant district in Hanover. Her father named Butty Barrett. 2 of my girls went to Rossi's high school as well. People relaying to the interview. This one says, nice interview, Kish. Real general, Keep up the good work, my boss. It's Yellow in Claremont. And this one says, good day, Kish. Thankful for this presentation with Ralston. One nugget to echo. Applauses for Ralston for rising out of the turmoil he was exposed to as a youth and making a positive impact in himself and others. other and any youth can rise up, any other youth can rise up and be positive. Absolutely not true. And this one says, life has taught us that setbacks do not necessarily mean step back. Big up to the world publicist Rallo, who has hurdled over many challenges to be in this position today. Rallo, your fees gone up as of today, but you still afford time to work with talented artists. Continue to lay the footprints. Others may not be able to follow, but your journey will be engraved in history, like Marcus Garvey. And that's coming from wise words. I love how the messages that are coming through are so lengthy. People are speaking out. I don't know because it's a publicist, but them are right. This one says, good interview. It's coming from Billy Jungle in Paradise Court. Ralston Barrett again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to take us on your journey. We appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, Kashi. Thank you very much.
Big up yourself. A success story indeed. And this one from Selector Princess. She says, Kishima, I have worked with Rallo long ago. I never knew he was from Westmoreland. What a journey. Thanks for sharing. This one says, good day. Wonderful interview, is coming from Angela. And this one says, great story. Assertive always. And this is why I really love Road to Success, the journey. And especially when our guests come on and, they have no reservations about sharing their truth and sharing their story and talking about what they have gone through and how the challenges they were able to overcome, because it helps us to also realize that